Every year, new fitness trends are announced, and every year, they hint at deeper shifts in how we support health across everyday life. For 2026, the American College of Sports Medicine identified 20 top trends shaping the future of fitness. But what these trends really reveal isn't just where fitness is going, it's how much our health depends on systems we rarely talk about. And many of those systems look a lot like recreation. The ACSM fitness trends aren't pulled from social media or marketing forecasts. They're based on surveys of thousands of exercise professionals worldwide, people working clinical settings, community programs, higher education, and commercial and corporate settings. That makes these trends less about what's popular and more about what's emerging across systems. But trends don't tell us what works on their own. They tell us where pressure is building, what systems and infrastructure are being asked to respond. When you step back from the individual items on the 2026 list, clear patterns emerge. First, there's a strong focus on technology and data, from wearable integration to mobile exercise apps. Second, there's a growing emphasis on aging populations, functional fitness, and long-term mobility. Third, there's a recognition that mental health, recovery, and stress regulation are inseparable from physical fitness. And finally, there's an increasing concern with access, inclusion, and professional standards. These aren't niche interests. They're responses to demographic change, public health strain, and the widening gap in access. One trend on the 2026 list makes this shift especially clear. Exercise for chronic disease management appears in the top 20 for the first time in nearly 20 years. That's not because chronic disease is new. It's because the systems managing it are under strain, and movement is increasingly being recognized not as optional wellness, but as ongoing care. When exercise becomes part of disease management, it stops being sporadic. It becomes sustained, relational, and community-based. And that moves us squarely into the domain of recreation. What's striking about many of these trends is where they actually take place. Functional fitness for older adults doesn't scale in boutique studios. It scales in community centers. Mental health supportive movement doesn't reach entire populations through apps alone. It shows up in parks, walkable trails, and low-barrier programs. Even technology-driven trends rely on physical spaces like gyms, fields, multi-purpose rooms, spaces maintained by public, nonprofit, and private recreation systems. In other words, many of the most important fitness trends of 2026 don't live in the fitness industry alone. They live inside the recreation infrastructure. Another notable addition to the 2026 list reinforces this point. Adult recreation and sport clubs appear on the top 20 after not being included for almost 2 decades. That addition reflects something deeper than nostalgia for organized play. It signals a recognition that adults need structured, social movement just as much as youth do, especially as work becomes more sedentary and social isolation more common. These sport clubs don't thrive in hyper-individualized fitness models. They thrive in shared spaces, coordinated recreation programs, and organizations built to support participation over performance. In other words, they thrive where recreation already exists. At the same time, these trend lists often assume something they don't name. That people have time, that they have transportation, that they feel safe in the spaces being promoted, that someone is trained, paid, and present to run the program. Fitness trends frequently frame change as an individual choice. Recreation reminds us that participation is shaped by design, funding, and policy. Without those supports, even the best trends struggle to reach the people they are meant to serve. Seen this way, the 2026 fitness trends reinforce something we rarely say out loud. Health doesn't scale through innovation alone. It scales through systems. Recreation is one of those systems. Quiet, distributed, and often overlooked. And as fitness becomes more data-driven, more medicalized, and more essential across a lifespan, the role of recreation doesn't shrink. It expands. When exercise becomes care and sport becomes connection, recreation becomes impossible to ignore. The fitness trends of 2026 tell us less about what's new and more about what we've been relying on all along. This is Recreation Matters. If you found this helpful, please like the video to help it reach more people, and subscribe to join us as we explore how recreation works, where it's overlooked, and why it matters.